I'm Desi Navarro, and I'm from CWA Local 7000, one of the vice presidents.
So you talked at the convention here about your struggle in your area as public workers and how you organized against supposed pro-labor people, the Democrats, and what your experience was and how to use the tools of labor to change the situation.
Well, as a labor representative, you have expectations from a party that says we are pro-labor, who tells you, yes, we support you and takes the pictures and wants you around for Labor Day, and then turns around and guts your health care for their workers and doesn't pay their workers enough, understaffs them. And we all deal with it in the public sector. It's a public sector problem where we are turning to people to help us, but they might have ties to our employers. So they are endorsing people that are kind of throwing their public sector unions under the bus. So the first thing that we did was call out the other unions and let them know, we are telling you our struggles. We're telling you that they are not being, employers that everybody should emulate. We're telling you that we're having struggles, and it doesn't help if you're still supporting them, if you're still giving them the endorsements, if you're still giving them the pictures at Labor Day. It gives the impression that labor supports them and they're pro-labor, when with their own unions, they may not be holding up their ends of the bargain. So what we did was we called out the other unions and made sure that we talked to them about it. Next, we did a campaign of going to the council meetings and anything time the mayor and council met, and made sure that we were speaking at the mic and letting the public know, no, this is what's really happening with the workers. So we are not getting paid enough. We are getting our health care cut. They are saying they're pro-labor, and if they are, we would love for them to prove it.
And you use social media as well.
Yes, absolutely, because all of these local governments, even the tiniest, have social media channels. So we would wait for them to post things that were pro-labor and say, oh, really? Well, we are your labor, and we're telling you that we need this from you, and we're not getting it. We are your labor, we are the laborers that work for you, and we're telling you your actions as an employer are not being exemplary as an example for other people to follow. So we really went to social media, and when they made a pro-labor post, called them out on it. They took a picture with another labor union and said, hi, we're the union that works for you. We weren't invited to this meeting, and made sure that people knew, no, this is what's going on behind the scenes. Yes, and we even said in the council meetings directly to their face, you are super supportive for all these private sector unions that you want to get pictures with, but when it comes to your own unions, you're not holding up your end as an employer.
And you began to move them? They tried to ignore you? They wouldn't take your calls?
They really did, because when you have other unions you can go to, a lot of public servants, especially a lot of elected officials, know they can go to the other unions and still get their pictures and still get their street cred. And so they will ignore the ones that they're having issues with. So we went to their social media, we went to their meetings, and then we started joining other groups that they belong to, talking coalition building with other groups that also may have some issues with the mayor and council. Whether they were there for something friendly or if they had a complaint, we would tell them, yeah, we're the labor, and we're the labor that works for this city. And they would say, oh, well, we support labor, that we're a progressive organization. I'm like, cool. And they're like, well, they're all Democrats. Aren't you doing great with this? And we would say, oh, funny you should mention that. No, they are all Democrats, but their workers are underpaid. Their workers are at poverty levels. We have taking collection so their workers can pay rent or get groceries. This shouldn't be
starvation wages.
Starvation wages. They have tout this tiny house program where they were building affordable housing across the city. And we said that's great, but can we try to keep our own workers and members out of the tiny houses? Let's make sure that you are in doing this. And we went through their budget and saw where they were giving tax giveaways and money from the city as incentives to corporate businesses to do business in the city. It's okay, so you gave $1 million to these companies, but your workers are underpaid. Oh, you just got a raise that'll get you 300% of your raise and a cost of living increase of 5% every year. And you tell your workers we're getting a 1.2% and should be happy for it. This disconnection, we called it out, and that's what you have to do. You have to call it out, and you have to call it out publicly, and you can't be afraid of who you offend or if you're going to ruffle the wrong feathers. And we had people tell us, well, we have connection to them and they do stuff for us, so we don't. And we said, oh, that's great. Where's your solidarity? We are another labor organization. You're supposed to have my back. I understand you might have your ties, but you should be the first one calling them out then. So we went to the meetings, and that was a really good strategy too.
And they started talking to you.
They did. After you get to enough of the other progressive organizations, because by nature, a lot of labor organizations tend to be progressive because we're fighting for wages for our families. We're fighting fighting for workers to have a voice in their workplaces. And once we started talking to other organizations and telling them the truth, we weren't being crazy, we weren't talking smack, we weren't doing anything to hurt them. We were just telling them the true experience of what we were having as labor organizations that worked for this employer that happened to be the city government that were all Democrats.
And the rise of fascism, racism, homophobia, I mean, it seems like there's a massive attack on democratic rights and all kinds of people, and they're using that to divide people. What is that the situation in your state?
Well, in my state, I'm come from Arizona, so we do not have a friendly legislature. Actually, the Arizona Supreme Court just knocked down our public sector union time. They decided it was against the gifts cause of the Arizona Constitution, so we can't represent people on the clock anymore. We can't do grievances on the clock. We can't meet with them on the clock. Anything that's considered labor work that would be union time and any other employer was struck down by the state of Arizona. And what's funny about that, it was due to a court case that was through the city of Phoenix, and there was a company that was the rise of fascism. It was privately funded to find some discontented workers who were willing to sue on behalf of the union against the union in order to.
They have a lot of money, billions of dollars.
They do. I'm sure they were able to convince somebody that they should take up this lawsuit as an employee for the city of Phoenix, and took this case about union time to the state Supreme Court. And as that result, it knocked out all public sector union time. And my municipality wasn't even part of it. They were not part of that lawsuit. And we immediately reached out to them and said, hey, this happened. Like, what can we do? You're pro-labor. Help us keep our, what can we do to try to help this? And nobody called us back. Nobody answered our calls from September when we got it. But what our employer did do, the same day that case came down that they weren't even a part of, we got a cease and desist notice to stop representing our members. And luckily, we have one representative who is our president that's not reliant on their wages to get the paycheck, and they're doing the only representation across the entire city. Because
how many employees are we talking about?
Employees, we have 1,000 and some likely, but our members, we have 329 members, 349 members around there. And so seriously, across the board, and we're in a city, so they're not all in one place. I work in a division, somebody else works in another, somebody else works across town, another person leaves, and one person has to do the representation across the entire one because they took our union time, and our employer, who wasn't even part of the lawsuit, who the other party that was part of the lawsuit wasn't even enforcing it, and to this day still aren't really enforcing it because they're still trying to work out legalities. We were told within hours to stop by this all Democrat mayor and council's office, and it was a kick in the gut. We're like, what the heck? I thought you were pro-labor. I thought,
most of the unions endorsed them.
Yeah, a lot of times, and we had previously endorsed them too until our conditions got worse. And we really needed to send the message of, we don't work for you. We're not here to give you that endorsement. We're not here to give you a photo opportunity to get you to support us. We are the workers that drive your city. We are workers that bring money into your city. You're not paying us. Every money that you give to us instead of those corporations, we'll put money back into the city. We will keep it local. We will put our kids in program. We will buy groceries. You giving money to corporations instead of your workers takes money out of the city. There was a focus here on the corporate part instead of their workers. And really, we just had to remind them, you work for us. We're not only your labor union and your workers, we're voters. We vote for the parties in this region. You're used to our endorsement. You're used to our support, and we'd love to give it, but we can't do it at the expense of our members. You can't turn your back on our members and expect our support.
And this ideology, right to work, I mean, what's behind that?
Corporate greed. That's what it is. It's the right to work is the right for your employers to do what they will, and you have the right to find another job for poverty wages if you don't like it. And that needs to change in Arizona. And I'm telling you right now, my commitment to work to flip the Arizona legislature, if needed, if we can't get Republicans that are working class and are supposed to be working class too to see the light, that we're not trying to make this political. I'm not trying to elect a certain party. I need people that will support labor, that will support blue-collar workers, white-collar workers, people that have to feed their family. And we're willing to talk to whoever it was. Now, traditionally, it's one party, but they're not doing it anymore either. And the thing about labor is, if we keep getting told we don't have another option, like, here's your options. We will make our own options.
Is it time for a labor party?
It's been time for a labor party for generations, where we could put everything else aside and say, who's going to put food on your table? Who's going to protect your job? Who's going to make sure your family has health care? We need a party that if we're not here to be beholden to anybody, and we will find our own solutions. If one party's not doing it, we're not going to bend the knee and grovel. We're going to go look for people who will run against them. We will primary them, and either party, and find people who are willing to work with us and give them our support. Right now, we actually did support some candidates that were primarying the other officials that we've been having not a great relationship with, and supported them. Like, there's some people that lost the complete labor vote from their area because we went no. We found the third option you told us we didn't have. We're going to find people who will support us, who will support the working class, and that's who deserves our vote.
So one of the issues is Amazon, these big companies, their development. What's going on in your area, in your experience?
Well, we had a private company called Beal in the Tucson, Pima County area who bought up a big section of land in the middle of the desert, mind you. I should emphasize, Tucson, Arizona is a desert. We Sonoran Desert. We are a desert. We don't have water.
So where do you get your water?
Well, we have the ground, but we guard it. There's nobody down there that does not understand water issues. We live right next to a mountain who there are people, because of water conservation, they have times during the year where they're not allowed to do their laundry or wash their dishes. They're expected to go to other places, so that groundwater stays protected, and we all understand that living here. So Beal bought up the land, and it was done with an NDA, non-disclosure agreement with the county, and there was all this...
I thought you don't have a right to see an agreement with the private company?
They had NDAs that our public servants were subject to without any of their consent, that they were not allowed to say it as a public, like even speak on it or know anything, because somebody else agreed to an NDA that also covered them. So it was ridiculous. But Tucson is not a sit down and take it city. Tucson is an organizer city. We're proudly progressive. We're proudly really, really protective about our water and our environment.
It's your life.
It is our life. And if you are of the desert, you understand how important, you don't play around with your water supply. You just don't. So when people found out this was happening and our county supervisors approved the sale, the next step for that company was to annex, for the city of Tucson, to annex the land so they could get access to our water. And so they promised the world, we'll build this pipeline. We'll be water negative. That isn't a thing. You can't put water back. You're just saying you're going to use water that somebody else isn't going to use. No, the water negative isn't a thing. If you use water, you use water. They promised us a system that would clean the water, the purification system, and come back, and they would use gray water like everything else. We operate on a lot of gray water. We collect water from barrels in our house. We collect water, we know to conserve. That's why, and I will have to say it just plainly, the city lost their mind. Because somebody else did a bit more digging, and they realized the company behind it was Amazon. It was going to be an Amazon data center in the middle of our desert with access to our watershed. And the city lost their mind within hours. And I have to say, I'm a labor activist, so I was peripheral, and I definitely helped and spread the word, and I wrote a thing on it. I made sure I was giving my support. But Tucson is not a city to sit around and play. Within hours, there was a group together. There was lists going out. There was protest plan. There was a campaign to
stir it up a hornet's nest.
Oh, they kicked the rattlesnake nest in the desert. They picked the wrong target. They did not do their research on the city of Tucson. So within literal hours, there was mobilization of let's contact the city council. We don't want them annexing this land. And it was a glorified PR tour. They started giving education meetings and informational meetings where they were letting them talk. And anytime somebody who, again, these are citizens who came with really, really good questions and really good expectations, I need you to explain this. How are you going to put this water back? How do we know you're not going to use gray water? How do we know you're only going to use what we're allotting you? Because they have the money, then there's we'll pay over if we use it. Money can't buy water regeneration. Yeah, money can buy things. You can't give us our water back. So company that has the money and the power to pay for it over and over again, whatever they use, that's not something that'll be helpful in a desert. And there are people that are literally telling them, Are you dumb? We are a desert. Data centers use water to cool. We will run out of, like, logical deduction, guys. Like, you are public servants.
It's insanity.
You're from here. We are a desert. Like, isn't there somewhere with water that they can make their pitch at? Because we don't want it. And really, there was a harsh campaign of pushback. There was local young activists from the high schools that were showing up to meetings and telling them, you're killing us. There was older retired people. We had the Pinal County or the Pima County area Republicans say, Amazon can't have our water. If you don't have the county Republicans supporting you because our water is that important, I just don't think they did their research or knew what was happening. But we fought it. Everybody showed up to the meetings. There was rallies. There was coordination on the scale that I don't think they were expecting. And it got to the point where they were telling the mayor and council, like, stop these meetings, stop the propaganda, stop trying to, like, make us come around. We don't want it. And your job is to tell them we don't want it. Not try to convince us, not try to find a middle ground, see what we can negotiate to. The jobs were only going to be like 170, 180 jobs, permanent jobs, so under 200 jobs. There was construction jobs at the beginning, and the biggest argument was, well, people won't have to drive for construction jobs to Phoenix. They'll just be local. I'm sorry, and I support my brothers and sisters and other unions that are just trying to put food on the table for their families. But our whole region's future just isn't worth it. And a big portion understood it, or even the county Republicans understood it, that Tucson water cannot be for sale. It's how we live in the desert. Water is sacred in the desert, not just like for life, but in the cultures there and everything else. We understand water in a way a lot of people don't because we have to. If you've ever seen the reaction of a first monsoon rain where people lose their mind, like, yeah, we're going to make it this summer, because we have so little. And with climate change and global warming, we're getting less. So we have to conserve what we have and manage it properly. And the contract also let them use drinking water, potable water, for the first 2 years to cool their systems. And who knows what damage that would have done in that time. But at the end of the day, the message was sent. They voted unanimously no. They are going to reject the thing. And the chamber erupted. Everybody was so excited. And we felt like, everybody take a breath, but we know they're coming back. Like, they even told us, like, oh, it's inevitable. We'll find a way. And the reaction from Tucson was, bring it. You're going to find a way? Pima County, you want to find a way in southern Arizona to come at us for this water? We'll see you when you get here. Like, and it's when we know, everybody knows it's going to be a fight, but they picked the wrong spot. And Tucson, Pima County, all that region understands water in a way that they don't even understand. And we're not going to let them come in and drain the life from our cities.
And the unions, I mean, some unions were supporting it for jobs on the short end, but I mean, the unions can play an important role in building solidarity and really fighting for the community and all people.
You know, we're unions and we rely on job, and a lot of people say, like, stay in your lane. You're here to support jobs. And again, I don't fault my union brothers and sisters for wanting to put food on their family's table. I think it was a little short-sighted, though, because, you know, eventually you're not going to have a job at all in the region when the water goes. You can't just arbitrarily replace water. And unions, we are members of the community. First and foremost, I think a big part about being a union is to be a community group and make those connections, do those coalition buildings, because we all have the same interests. We all want the same things. We want a livable wage. We want to be able to support our families. We want to be able to have some time for ourselves. We want clean air, drinking water. We want just the same thing to survive, the basic dignities of existence. We all want the same thing. And unions can step up and say, look, that union wanted it, we get it. But I'm also in a union. And I want my child and my wife to be able to survive and live and have a community here. I want my friends and family to raise their children here with clean water. And they brought them the studies that showed, yeah, they did this to other communities too and sucked them dry. And we don't understand what the pollution is in that area right from these data centers either. There's weird stuff happening. There hasn't been enough time to find out what's going on.
There are fires at these battery plants. I mean, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, it's just, and you know, AI and progress, and yes, progress, we've always heard that. But you cannot die in a golden coffin, as my VP has so eloquently said before. Who wants to be buried in a golden coffin if it means you're dead? You have to protect what keeps you alive, and that's where unions should step up as community groups, because we are community organizations. We live and work in our communities. We're not outside forces that are here to fight with bosses. We are people who work and live and survive here, and we have just as right as anybody else to speak out on these issues, and we should do it in a way that protects and supports the sustainability of our regions, because that's our jobs too.